I'm Mr. Josh. Good morning, I guess. We're gonna ask you a few questions about the Mexico drug war.
Okay.
Have you heard about the Mexico drug war?
Yes.
Have you ever think about it like seriously?
Yes, I have thought about it seriously.
Has this affected you in any ways?
A little bit because some of my family lives in Southern California, and so the drug war goes into the southern United States a lot of times, so it could possibly affect my family, so there's some practical connection to it.
This is a big problem for society.
It's definitely a huge problem for Mexico, and there's a lot of human rights issues because there's a lot of people dying and there's not much being done about it, so yeah.
Good afternoon.
Okay. So, have you ever heard of Mexico drug war?
I have, yes.
So, what kind of information do you know about it actually?
I know that the drug cartel is involved with the government a little bit and not involved, and there's a lot of violence in a lot of Mexican cities, and the violence will not stop until the government has control of it, but because the government is kind of involved with the drug trade, it's going to be an ongoing struggle for a long time.
Okay. So, have you ever think about it seriously?
I've thought about it that it would be difficult to live there or to visit, yes.
So,
Tough for the people.
how do you think it affects people who are not close to Mexico but in other countries like us and other people?
To be honest, I'm not sure how it would directly affect you, other than to know that there's hurting places around the world because of drug trade. Over here, if you never knew about it, wouldn't bother you guys probably.
Okay, our last question. Do you think we should help them, and if we need to help them, how can we help them?
They need a lot of help, and I wouldn't know where to start. But right now, all you can do is pray for the leaders of that country and hope that they figure out some kind of solution that will minimize the violence and maybe drug trafficking altogether.
We're gonna ask you a few questions about the Hong Kong and China conflict questions.
Okay.
So, do you know anything about Hong Kong and China, the conflict?
I only know a little that I've seen in the news.
Do you know what Hong Kong wants from China?
I think Hong Kong wants more freedoms from China, and that China is setting down certain rules that Hong Kong doesn't like, and I think there's also a leadership issue about who gets to choose their leaders.
Do you know why China is not fulfilling their promise?
I would assume that it's because China wants more power over Hong Kong and that they want the resources that Hong Kong has and the economic benefits that Hong Kong has.
How long do you think this conflict will last?
I think probably in the short term, they can resolve some of their issues fairly quickly within a year or two, but in the long term, they probably have deeper issues that they will have to continue to work out over the years and decades.
What do you think Hong Kong or China should do to work it out?
I don't know enough information about the situation to give any suggestions.
Has this affected you or your family?
No.
Do you think it is important and everyone should know about this?
I think that conflict in general is important in the world and that we are informed about conflict. I also know that China is a very powerful economy, and so is Hong Kong, and so any activities in these locations affects the economies worldwide. And I think that people's freedoms are important all over the world, and so they do concern all people simply because of freedom. Freedom is important for all people.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you a few questions about Hong Kong and China, their conflict. Do you know anything about what's happening there?
I know that there is conflict between the British, China, and the people that now live in Hong Kong. So a decision that was made 100 years ago is now affecting the people that actually are living right now.
Do you know what Hong Kong wants from China?
Independence.
Do you know why China is not fulfilling their promise?
Because they probably want power and control.
How does this affect you or your family?
My family won't go to Hong Kong, probably ever. But for me, I love Hong Kong, and so it could affect my travel plans there if I ever decide to go. Because of conflict, I don't want to get in the mess.
Do you think it's important and everyone should know about this?
I think it's important. Everybody in the whole wide world, probably not. Because if I'm living in a remote Africa village, I probably have more stresses of my own that I should worry about than something over there that I can't control. So I think it's important to know if you can, but to force everybody to know all the conflicts in the world, I think would be difficult. So.